Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Logan, aka Suburban Yinzer, and today I am in front of Prospect School up here on Mount Washington. And so to give Yins a wee bit of background and a little bit of historical context about this school, I'm going to be talking about Prospect Elementary and Junior High School located in between Cowan and Prospect Streets in Mount Washington. So this building right here was originally planned out in 1930, but this is not the original school. There was a school here before this building was constructed from 1931 to 1938. That was the span of the construction of Prospect School, Mount Washington. So it says here that the original school building that was here before this was constructed in 1871. And it was burnt down in a fire in 1914. So in 1930, this school was designed by the architectural firm James T. Steen and Sons. And in 1931, the location was primarily built and constructed. But it was only until, I would say, 1936 to 1938, during the Great Depression, because during the middle of the Great Depression, when the New Deal was passed by the Roosevelt administration, when they started adding on additions to the school. So it says here that the addition, it says, according to the Pittsburgh Press, it said the addition will be 3 stories: a basement, gymnasiums, filter rooms, locker rooms, fan room, social rooms, and other facilities. And then what we're going to do is we're going to walk around the school a wee bit, and we're going to talk a little bit more further about the Prospect School before it was an apartment. So this is some of the architecture on Prospect School that is fantastic. I mean, most people don't really realize it, but the architectural design of this building is fantastic. You got the crest of Pittsburgh right there, and then you got some type of form of Greek or some type of Aztec architecture. I don't know what region this is from. I think it might be Greek because you got the Pegasus right there. But most people that come here and they see this, they don't really put 2 and 2 together and really notice it. But to me, the architecture on this building and the design is absolutely fantastic. And the architectural firm that designed this building really did a good job with the architectural designing of this building in the 1930s. And it's got a lot of 1930s vibes to it. It's got a lot of it's got that vibe, that 1930s vibe. But if you notice right here, I'm going to be talking about the big field, the infamous big field, where my mother, my uncle, my aunt, and my uncle's friends played in the parking lot of the new apartment complex from the 1970s to the 1980s. So right now I'm standing at the parking lot of the Prospect School Apartments, but before this was the apartment building, this was converted to the apartment building. This was what my mom and my aunt and my uncle called the big field. This is the modern day parking lot of the apartment complex, but there was a lot of history, a lot of childhood history, not only from my mother, my uncle, and my aunt, but also from me and my brother. We spent many a day coming up to my grandparents' house and playing on the big field. But the lore of the big field that you see here, if you're from Mount Washington, or if you're from these surrounding neighborhoods or these surrounding streets surrounding Prospect School, you know about the prominence and the popularity of this field. From the 1970s to the 1980s, my uncle primarily and his friends would come up here and they would play all kinds of sports. They would play football, baseball, basketball, anything under the sun, every single day, all day, every day in the summers when they were off from school. And it's really kind of a shame, but it's also progress at the same time. I mean, yeah, this is the parking lot now of the apartment complex, but this parking lot here held so much prestige back in the 70s and 80s for many of the children of this community in this neighborhood for many decades. And it's pretty amazing to be here to talk about it, because many people who live at this apartment building, they have no idea the prominence and the significance of what this used to be decades ago. For me and my mother and her family and my brother, we know this is the big field. We know what this is, and many Yins do too, but for these people living here, they have no clue. So this school not only educated my mother, my uncle, and my aunt for a couple years of their life, but it also educated many of the children in the Mount Washington community from the 1930s to the early 2000s. Not only Mount Washington, but it also educated kids from Allentown, Belts Hoover, the Hill District, and South Side. And I never realized that, but a lot of kids from my dad's neighborhood of the South Side of Pittsburgh would come up here and go to school here, which is pretty interesting. And as you can see, the old cobblestone alleyway that goes behind. So right now we're on Cowan Street. This is Cowan going up the Prospect. And so this alleyway right here is where my mother, I think she was running as a little girl in the 70s, and she fell and scraped her knee on these cobblestones, and she had to go to the doctor, and that's where the doctor first found her heart murmur. That's a story she tells me every time we walk up and down these sidewalks in this alleyway. And I can't tell you how many times me, my mother, my grandmother, how many times I've walked these sidewalks and these streets my whole childhood, my whole life. And that is why I call myself the suburban Yinzer, because this school, this neighborhood, even though I was born, I was born in Carrick, but I was raised in the suburbs, but this community is my second home. My grandparents' house is my second house. Okay, it's like my home. This is my homeland. This is where my mother was born and raised and lived her whole childhood, her whole life. I mean, think about it. One of these cobblestones cut my mother's knee when she was a little girl. My uncle and his friends played up at the big field up there. That's where my uncle played many summers with his friends around the neighborhood. I mean, this neighborhood and this community and this area of Pittsburgh has so much prominence on my mother's side of the family. There's so much significance and so much happy memories along these streets. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna walk down this alleyway and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the other side of Prospect School. So right here, this back parking lot on the other side of Prospect School, this used to be, what was it called, Colin? The little field? I think my mom called it and referred to it as the little field, to the best of my knowledge. Many Yins from the mountain are gonna be like, no, it wasn't, but I'm just saying, this used to be where the kids would come play too. If you weren't come playing at the big field, you're playing at the little field. Now, what's really neat is, when Prospect School shut down in 2006, meaning that it stopped being a school, utilized as a place of education, me and my brother, my grandparents would bring us down here, and me and my brother would ride our scooters in this parking lot. But this parking lot was not this nice. It was not this paved, nice parking lot, but the ground was completely crappy, so to speak. But it's really neat to be here to see this, because it like the big field and like the school in general, it holds so much significance, not only for me and my brother, but also for my mother, my uncle, my aunt, my grandparents, and many of the members of the Mount Washington community that lived in the surrounding area around Prospect School, because this parking lot and the big field were places of athletics. I mean, and the thing is, with many Yins would realize, back when my parents were little kids in the 70s and 80s, kids didn't sit in the house all day. You didn't play video games and sit around and do nothing. You came and you played. You went outside and you played with your friends in your community. And this was back when Mount Washington was a community. And many neighborhoods around Pittsburgh held that standard, where you had so many families living around the surrounding area, and then the kids would come out and they would play in places like this. They'd play all kinds of sports in the summertime. And sadly, you really don't have that sense of community or sense of homeland anymore in these neighborhoods around the city of Pittsburgh. But looking back at it nostalgically, when my mother and my uncle talk, or my grandparents talk, it's really interesting to hear those stories and to see where my mom and my uncle and my aunt used to hang out and play back when they were little kids.